پرکشیده روح ایمان در میان جمع یاران، شهر ما را کرده آذین، شور جشن نیم شعبان.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين حبيب الله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل
على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. So I'd like to begin my lecture, inshallah, by giving my best wishes to all of you and the Imam of our time on the birth anniversary of Imam Mahdi, Ajjalallahu Farajahu. And the topic of Imam Mahdi is one that's very important for us and one that we really have to look at more, because unfortunately we don't look at it enough. So many of you may be asking of the question, what is the necessity of us knowing the Imam? Why should we care about our Imam Mahdi? When he comes, he'll come. And until then, I'll just wait and it won't matter too much to me, or it won't matter too much in my own life. We can see that there's a famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, in which he says, "Man mata wa lam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mayyitatan jahiliya." The one who dies and he does not know the Imam of his time, he has died the death of ignorance. So this is a very important hadith in which through here we can see that we must know our Imam, because if we do not know the Imam of our time and we do not really get to know him, then we have died the death of ignorance and we have become ignorant in respect to our Imam. So through this hadith, we can really understand the importance and the necessity of learning our Imam and really knowing him. So I'd like to just talk a bit about our Imam and for us to really know him and for us to become better knowing with our Imam. So the Imam was born on this day on Shaban in the year of the 255th of Hijri. And that for us is the 868th year in the solar calendar. And he was born in Samara, and his name was the name of his grandfather, the name of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. So he had spent 4 years of his life under the guardianship of his father. And under his father, he had been kept in secret, and no one had known about him, and no one had seen him except for the nearest companions of his nearest companions. So only they had known about that he was there, and only they had seen him in person. So he was hidden from the view. And at the age of Imama, his father had been martyred, and he had taken the position of Imama at that age, only at the age of 4. So at this young of an age, he had taken that position of Imama, and he had become the Imam. Now one may ask a question, if he is 4 years old, then how did he take the position of Imama? That'd be crazy, someone as young as 4 years old to be taking the position of the Muslims as the leader of the Muslims. How could someone who is only 4 years old be able to take that position? And I'd like to respond to this by looking back into Islamic history and looking back into history to see that we accept that Hazrat Isa as a baby was taken as a prophet, and Hazrat Yahya had begun their mission. They took that mission to become a prophet at a very young age. Even in the Quran, in respect to Hazrat Isa, we say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, قالوا كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبيا قال إني عبد الله أتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا. They say, how can we speak to one who is yet a baby in the cradle? He says, indeed, I am the servant of Allah, and he has given me a book, and he has made me a prophet. SubhanAllah. Through this Quranic verse, we can really understand how even Hazrat Isa, when he was just a baby in the cradle, he had taken that position of imamat, and he had taken the position of leadership, and he had become a prophet, and he had defended his mother. And through this, we can understand that age is not an important factor in respect to leadership. Allah does not look into your age, but if you are a proper candidate, if you are someone who is able, if you have the ability to become a leader, then you can become the imam or a prophet or such. So now we have another issue when it comes in respect to his age. So we already went through that, him being an imam at the age of 4. But now another person may come in with the question as, the imam was born back then and he is still alive. How is that even possible? He must have died a long time ago, and we are just simply calling for someone who is long gone. In respect to this question, I'd like to bring another historic, one of the other prophets, to really explain this. Do we not believe Hazrat Nuh, he had lived a life of 1,000 years? Do we not believe that Hazrat Isa is still alive even today? Are they not 1,400 years ago? Have they not lived longer than Imam Zaman? We know that they have, and that they are still alive today. So why can we say that it's not the Imam Mahdi who is also alive? So there's also even verses in the Quran in which it says, Allah says that had Yunus not done the tasbih of Allah, he would have been kept in the whale's stomach until the day of judgment. SubhanAllah, this is the power of Allah. And for you to undermine that ability of Allah and his power to say that Allah could not even make someone live 1,400 years, you're undermining his ability. For him not to be able to make someone live 1,400 years, is that not outside of Allah's ability? Can he not do such a thing? So clearly here we can see that there are no problems in his age, whether him being an age of 4, being an imam, or living 1,400 years. There's no issues with any of this. This is completely within the realms of possibility. We cannot say that this is impossible for something to happen. Now, I'd also like to talk about the different ghaibahs of the imam, because we know that the imam has, his ghaibah is split into 2 parts. We have the ghaibah al-sughra and the ghaibah al-kubra. We have the minor occultation and the major occultation. So what do these mean? First, I'd like to go into ghaibah al-sughra. So the imam, because of reasons at that time, he had to go into hiding. And he went into hiding, and no one could ever see him except for intermediates. So he had 4 intermediates at that time who were taking the letters of the imam, and they were sharing it with his followers. So who are these 4 people? These intermediates were Uthman ibn Sayyid, Muhammad ibn Uthman, Hussein ibn Ruh al-Nawbakhti, and Ali ibn Muhammad Samari. These 4 people were under the imam, and they had taken the letters that he had given to them, and only they could be in connection with him because of fear at that time. These people, they took these letters from him and they would share with the people. So some may ask, why would he have gone into Ghaibat al-Sughra and not just gone straight to Ghaibat al-Kubra? Well, this is a way in which he would have prepared people for that Ghaibat al-Kubra. Ghaibat al-Kubra is something that is very major, in which the imam, he's not there to support the Muslim. He is there, but he won't be there to answer the questions and such. So they had to have a way in which he would have prepared the Muslims for when he would have gone to Ghaibat al-Kubra. So through this minor occultation, he had prepared the believers for when he would leave, and we would go into the greater occultation. Now I'd like to talk about the greater occultation, Ghaibat al-Kubra. So in this time, at the age after 69 years, the imam, he had come to a time in which he had written his last letter to Ali ibn Muhammad Samari, in which he said that he would be gone. And in this ghaibat, the imam would have no intermediates, and he would have no way to which he would write letters to the believers. And he would give that position of leadership to the islands of the time, the scholars. So when we talk about ghaibah, what does this word mean? What does this word specifically mean? What does Ghaibat Kubra mean? Does it mean to say that, oh, the imam is not here at all, he's gone? Because if we have that belief in that is what Ghaibat is, then we have taken a wrong belief in Ghaibat. Because Ghaibat, in the linguistic term and such, if we see, it does mean in a sense to say that he's not there. For example, a classmate, had he not come to class today, he would have been Ghaibat, right? So he would have not been there, he's not there. But we cannot use the same definition in comparison to our imam, because our imam is there and he is always there, but we cannot see him. And that's what his ghaibah is. His ghaibah is a very different, it's not in the linguistic sense of the word. So he is there. We can use it as an example of a son. The sun is always there and it's always in the sky. But we have clouds that are taking that view. They're taking our view of the sun away. And we might not see that sun. But do we say that the sun is not there? We may say that, but we do not mean that the sun is gone. We mean that the sun is gone from our sight. But of course, the sun is always there. It's like the Imam. The Imam is always there for us, but we simply cannot see him. This is what the Ghaibah means in respect to the Imam. So this belief in a Mahdi, a belief in a savior, someone who will come at the end of time and he would spread justice onto the earth. This is not a belief, or this is not something that is specific to Islam. It's not something that's specific to even us, only Shia. It is a specific belief many religions have. Many different religions do have this belief, and they have so many names for it and such, and they have many different ways that they explain it. But in essence, we see that this Mahdi, this Mahdawiyat, it is in all religions. And all religions have this belief that there will be a savior at the end of time, will come and he will spread justice. And all of the sects of Islam, the madhahib, they also accept that this will be from the holy progeny of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he will be from his family, this Mahdi that will come. So now I want to ask a question. Why did the Imam go into hiding? What could have caused him to go into hiding? So I may have touched on this before, but now I'm going to go into the topic of why exactly he would have gone into hiding. So the most important one, of course, we can see is that it was for his protection. During the time of the 12th Imam, the Abbasids, they had taken their grip on the Shias so hard, and they were very strict on the Shias. It had become a time in which if you would have said salam to undermine their grip on the Imam, and they had always kept him under surveillance so that he does not make a revolt, so that they do not go under him to fight against them. So because of that, they had really taken control of the Muslims at the time. And the Imam, he was fearful for his protection. And we can compare this to the story of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he was going in his hijrah when he went from Mecca to Medina. In this, there were also people that were after him, and his life was also in danger. So what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? He guided him to the Thur cave. And in this cave, Rasulullah had gone into hiding, and he had hid from the people that had been pursuing him. And through this protection, he had been able to live, even though that there were many people who were out to kill him on his way from Mecca to Medina. So this is one reason that we can see that the Imam went into hiding. Another reason we can say it was a means to teach mankind. So before this, many of the people were already in the belief that the Imam was their leader, and that this was Imam and they should simply go under him and follow him. When the Imam was gone and there was this void left, who would have taken this? The alims of the time, the scholars of the time. It became wajib on them to take leadership of the Shia of the time. So this is a way that Allah tested these people. And these people who would be taking the position of Imam, this is not an easy task for anyone to do, except for those who are steadfast in their faith. So Allah had even been able to teach mankind, and he had tested these alims, these great people after the Imam, who had taken the position of leadership. So this is the second point, a means to teach mankind. The third one I would talk about is to avoid giving bay'ah to anyone else. So through this hiding and through this ghaibah, the Imam was able to show that he did not give bay'ah and he did not give acceptance to any of the oppressive governments at that time. He would not have to be forced to give his hand over to say that I accept this government, because these are very oppressive governments. And the Imam, through his ghaibah, he was able to avoid it. And through this, he showed his message in which he does not accept any of their governments as truthful. He does not give them any acceptance. And through this, with this ghaibah, he has shown that he has not given his ghaibah. And the fourth one is one in which is also very important that we can see. The fourth one is that the Imam had gone into hiding because of the result of our actions, the actions of the Shia. What do I mean by this? So in the time of the Imam, Had he had enough people who were strong and who had been with him and who had been steadfast in their faith, the Imam could have easily revolted. But there were no Shia at the time. There were no people that were true followers of the Imam to be able to go and fight and such. He had to go into hiding because of the fact that the Shias were not there to support him, and the fact that the Shias were not there to be by his side to help him out. He did not have many true followers. And with his only loyal followers, he had to go into hiding and such because of this reason. And this is the fourth reason into why the Imam had gone into hiding. So now I want to go into the next part, which is very important for us. The intizar, or the waiting for our Imam. And what does it mean to wait for our Imam? This is one of the most important aspects in relation to Imam Mahdi. What does it mean to wait for him? So many people are in the assumption that the Imam will come in a time in which corruption will be spread across the land. When oppression is spread across the world, then the Imam will come and reappear. So due to this, they allow oppression to grow, and they allow oppression. And billah, some people even help in this oppression for it to grow and for it to be a time in which they will wait for the Imam to reappear. And others, they may just stand idle, and you could say they would twiddle their fingers and they would just simply sit there and say, I am waiting for Imam. I am doing sabr. But can we say that this is the correct version of intizar? Can we say that this is the correct version of waiting? Is this the correct version of sabr? To say that we are waiting for the Imam by just twiddling our fingers and simply saying, okay, the Imam will come, I'm simply waiting for him. They simply move on with their life and they do not think about the Imam, because they're like, when the Imam comes, then we will think about it. It does not matter to us. So this is a completely wrong belief in intizar, and this is completely wrong in the belief of waiting for the Imam. Did I not say that one of the important reasons I'm going and disappearing was because of our own actions? Because we did this exact thing that the Imam had gone, and he had gone into Ghaibah. Because we sat there and we twiddled our fingers and we said we will wait for our Imam. This is so important. This is a fundamental point. We sat there and we twiddled our fingers and we waited for the Imam to make action. This is why the Imam went into Ghaibah. He had been feared for his life, and no one was there waiting for him. They said they were waiting, but was this real waiting? This is completely wrong. They were not the true followers. And these people who have such an assumption will not be truly waiting, because this is a completely wrong way to wait. So if the Imam had come to us at this time in which we say we are waiting, then certainly that the Imam will not succeed, because we will not be there, we will not be true followers for him. So no one can even say that they are waiting for Imam Zaman when they do not have the courage, when they do not have the awareness, when they do not have the correct behavior in relation to their Imam. If we have none of these and the Imam will the Imam even show up? Of course not, because we're not the true followers and we're not available to support him when he arrives. What will happen? He will be left alone. He will be stranded if we are like this. Many people, they have this assumption that had I been on the day of Karbala, had I been there, I would have fought valiantly with Imam Hussein. I would have taken the sword and I would have fought for him. But we can see that even today, there is someone else who is calling, like his own grandfather. He is saying, Hal min nasir yansurana? Is there anyone to help me? This is what the Imam is saying. He's telling us to wait. He's telling us to help him. He's telling us to be there for him. He's calling us to stand up for him and to be a helper. But we are still asleep. And we are acting as if we do not hear this. And we say that we have the courage and we are valiant and we would have fought in Karbala. We are not even there to support his own grandson, to say that we would even be there for Imam Hussein. So this is very fundamental for us to even think about. Are we truly waiting for Imam Hussein? That's a real question that you should just reflect on and think deeper about it. Are we really, really, really doing the proper intizar? What does sabr mean to us in respect to our Imam? So now you may ask, okay, so this is the incorrect way to wait for our Imam. How would you tell us to wait for our Imam? What are the ways that we can wait for our Imam? And in respect to this, I'd like to give 5 points. And due to the limited time that I have, I won't be delving deeper into the topic. But I'd like to simply go through these so that we can all know these. One of them, we can know our Imam. Simply taking events like these, the 15th of Shaban, we can remember our Imam and we can think about him and we can keep him in our remembrance. So knowing about our Imam and reading about him and thinking about him, this is one way in which we can properly wait for our Imam. Number two, for us to have piety. So for us to try to be pious, because we should always try to be doing good actions and we should always try to be cleaning our soul, and we should always be pure souls, because when the Imam comes, he'll be waiting for us. And we should be pious at that time. Because if we are sinners at that time, how can we say that we are going to be by his side and that we are going to be for him if we are not even pious? So we should be pious. And that's number two. Number three, to do du'a faraj. We should always call for the hastening of the reappearance of the Imam of our time. So even Imam alayhi salam, the Imam, Ajjalallahu Farajum, he has said, he has written in his letters, he has written, وَأَكْثِرُ دُعَاء بِتَعْجِيلَ الْفَرَجِ. So even the Imam is asking for us to pray for his reappearance. He says, and pray for the hurry of the appearance of the Imam. So by doing du'a faraj. And this is another way. This is number three. Number four, in respect to Imam Zaman, we should prepare for his reappearance. What does it mean to prepare for his reappearance? For us to be preparing for the reappearance, it is that we should live in a way spiritually. We should live in a way spiritually that if the Imam comes tomorrow, I will be ready to fight for him. And I will be ready spiritually, in the spiritual aspect, to fight for him and to assist him and be at his service. So this is number four, to prepare for his reappearance. And the last one I want to talk about is to be in remembrance of him, to be in remembrance of our Imam. Because sometimes we find that we're always caught up and we don't really think about how our Imam is at that moment. And we do not remember him. And we completely forget it. It leaves our mind to think about the Imam and to remember him. This is very important. We should always be in remembrance of him. We should always be thinking about him, and we should always be praying for his faraj. And we should always do salawat for him, to hasten his reappearance. So this is number five, to make remembrance of him. So this is the end of my speech, and I want to end, inshallah, by asking Allah for the dhuhur of his hujjah upon the earth on his blessed day. And inshallah, we can be one of the loyal followers of the Imam of our time when he comes and when that time comes. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.